What's up, y'all? It's your girl Lauryn from True Star Media. Today we are talking to Addison Belhomme of Director's Eye, a young Chicago filmmaker who is out here thriving. Thank you so much, Addison, for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Okay, so at 15 years old, you have already established yourself as a movie director and have steadily been building your brand under the name of Director's Eye. What was the thing that made you decide to get into filmmaking?
Well, I definitely say ever since I was a little girl, I've always had a passion for the creative arts. Whether that was, doing a funny show or acting out a funny play in front of my family members, or just cracking some jokes or, doing my own school plays. I definitely, always had a passion for the arts, which was really acting. But then once the pandemic hit, I do think that, things such as acting in my school plays or other, in-person activities did get canceled due to the pandemic. And once I really got into, other passions, I realized that filmmaking is something I really enjoy doing. I started doing, different videos for my art classes, or I started taking a Black cinema class over, the weeks that we had off. And I really started to get into that passion. At first, when I started my business, Director's Eye, I started it just doing some promotional reels or doing like graduation videos for my cousins that were graduating from their high schools. But I then soon realized that film can be much more powerful than that. You can use film to, raise awareness on certain topics and share stories throughout my community, like, what's going on in my school right now, or what I might have experienced being a young Black girl from the South Side of Chicago. And I definitely think once I noticed that, I was like, okay, filmmaking is something I really want to get into, and filmmaking is something that I think I should be doing to, become a person that's raising awareness on these topics in my community.
Okay, so you mentioned you have a business called Director's Eye. Can you tell us a little bit more about your mission with that brand?
Yes, so my business is called Director's Eye. And, once again, when you create a business, one of the first things I thought of creating back in 2020 was, some business cards to go with my business. I got to have a logo, I got to have, a brand, right? So I did create some business cards. And in creating that business card, a quote that I put on my card was, "We developed the best solution for making a video montage and capturing its emotion." And that's something I still stand by to this day. I'd say, at the beginning, of course, I was just doing like, some promo reels and just some slight videos on the side. But once I got more into filmmaking, which is now transitioned to like doing short films or feature length films, that's something that, I try to incorporate, staying authentic to myself, making sure that I tell stories in a positive light, and I tell them truthfully and based off my own experiences. Like I mentioned before, authenticity. That's something I really hold close to my heart, because I believe if you are authentic in your own films, then the audience that's watching it can relate to your film. They can relate to what you're speaking on, and becoming vulnerable with your audience is something that's really important in filmmaking. And so my mission is to capture emotion in film. My mission is to, tell a story that's relatable to my audience. And my mission is to, tell a story in the right way.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so at 14, you co-directed the documentary One Step at a Time with True Star member Avery Kelly. What other projects have you worked on under your company's name?
Yes. So I remember, when I was 14, I did do this documentary One Step at a Time with my girl Avery. It was truly an amazing experience. And I just remember it was one of the first film projects I did kind of get into the industry, and it taught me so much. And ever since then, so many new amazing doors, had opened for me. I was able to be a videographer for Chance the Rapper's spring fashion show with his organization Social Works. That was truly an amazing process. I was able to, it was all student led. So it was, a bunch of different high school students that really produced this project. So I was able to, meet so many new people and build bonds that I'm still, connecting with today. And then after that, I was also able to collect some some B-roll footage for a short feature film based on Chairman Fred Hampton of the Black Panther Party. For one of my mentors, her name is Malachi. She's just been amazing. She has a young girls organization called Made in Her Image, which is really inspiring and kind of gives you so many amazing tips about the film industry. So I learned a lot from that process as well. And then most recently, one of my, most exciting projects, I'd say, is when I had the opportunity to work with Michelle Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, for her Get Her There campaign with her Girls Opportunity Alliance. I was selected as a U.S. representative for the campaign, and I had the opportunity to not only be featured, but I also got to work a little bit behind the scenes on this film and kind of just help produce it and, work with the filmmaker and director itself.
Okay. What was your greatest takeaway from speaking with Ms. Obama?
Well, it's a lot of things you could take away from speaking with Ms. Obama. Like, I got to really process it because this is the former First Lady of the United States of America. So I'm still in awe a little bit. But something I definitely took away was, always staying authentic to yourself and never letting anyone change you. Seeing Mrs. Obama go on her book tour for The Light We Carry, and just everything that she's doing right now, not only, in the office, but post being the First Lady, she's always remained herself. She's always, repped the South Side of Chicago. They call her Southside Shelley. So I definitely say that I try to embody that as well. I try to, remain myself and represent where I come from in any room that I walk into. She's definitely inspired me to, be confident in wearing my braids or wearing my bamboo hoops and things like that. So, in any room I walk into, or even in my films with the people I'm casting or the stories I'm telling, that's definitely something I try to do.
Okay. So you've accomplished so much already in your life. What do you think attributes to this success?
You like a doubter or a hater, someone telling you that this dream you're trying to achieve isn't, achievable, because that's not right. You shouldn't allow someone to stop you from chasing your dreams, or you shouldn't let, the universe, or a hard day stop you from, chasing this goal. There are so many things that are going to try to stop you from, getting where you want to be. There are, so many obstacles that are going to come your way when you're trying to achieve a dream as big, as you can think. But you can't let that, stop you from getting where you're trying to get, because that deep down inside, this is something that you want to do. This is something that you're passionate about, and nothing should ever stop you from getting there. It should only actually motivate you and help you to keep going and reach this goal at the end of the day.
So can you tell us about the role that the organization Polished Pebbles has played in your success?
Yes. So I've actually been a part of Polished Pebbles for about 6 to 7 years now. I remember I was about 9 years old, and, my mom had seen this spark in me. She was like, you're always, speaking on stage at your school, or you just have like this very energetic personality. Let's try to hone in on that. So, surprisingly enough, the CEO and founder of Polished Pebbles, Miss Kelly Fair, who's still one of my mentors to this day, and has got me in so many different rooms. My mom actually walked up to her and she was like, hey, I see this spark in Addie, and I really want, to help her and help her build this confidence. Can you help her do that? I know you have this girls mentoring program that focuses on, helping young girls believe in themselves and become their own CEOs. And ever since then, Miss Kelly and the whole Polished Pebbles team has done nothing but get me, to where I want to be. I remember they, would take me in so many different rooms when I was younger, just to help me build up the confidence and know that I'm meant to be in places like these. Miss Kelly had taken me somewhere. She had taken me to Gary, Indiana, actually, to speak with the former mayor and to, kind of just see what it's like to be in these type of rooms. And she's taken me on that same trip to, the Jackson 5 house. And they were doing like, I think it was an anniversary of the house that day. But either way, she's always, just fed into me and helped me build the confidence to get where I am. Surprisingly enough, when I first started my business, Director's Eye, I think about 2 months later, we found out that Polished Pebbles was having a Mommy and Me entrepreneurship class. And, that was amazing. It taught me so many different tools about, how to be my own CEO and creating quotes for when you have clients. And it helped me perfect, my pitch and, creating business cards and things such as that. So, it's so many things things that, I have to thank Polished Pebbles for. And once again, they also put me in the room with the Obama Foundation and, allowed me to meet Mrs. Obama and to speak with her in New York. So it's definitely an amazing program.
Yes, that is so cool. Okay, so you mentioned before that you are a screenwriter and a director. So if you had to choose which one would you choose?
That is a tough question because it's like screenwriting and directing kind of go hand in hand. But I'd say, with the name Director's Eye, I think I'd definitely say directing.
Yeah.
Of course, screenwriting is still a passion of mine. But, when I'm watching different movies or, even before I knew I wanted to get into filmmaking, I always was interested in like directors or, the person calling the shots or like, the person that created this actual film. And so just, the more I got into filmmaking, the more interested I got into directing. I learned about, people like Gina Prince Bythewood and Ava DuVernay and how they call the shots on these films, or how they, can see a script and be like, this is how I want to visualize it on the screen. And so, of course, I know you're going to have to know how to screenwrite or write some scripts when trying to enter the industry. But my end goal is to be that person that's calling the shots, to be that person that's portraying this vision onto a screen and kind of like, setting a scene and running the show of how I want the overall film to look, because that's definitely a passion of mine.
Gotcha. Okay, so you are so talented, and I can only imagine that you have some other passions and other things that you like to get into. So what other career goals do you have in addition to directing and screenwriting?
I definitely say some other career goals of mine would be, mentoring. I know the power of mentoring and, what it's done for me, whether that's from the Girls Opportunity Alliance or that's from Polished Pebbles. So, when I get older and when I do, we're going to put it in the universe, do make it into the industry. I hope to come back to the South Side of Chicago and kind of invest in the youth on the South Side and invest in them how, people have invested in me, helping them believe in themselves and believe that their dreams are attainable, helping them get the resources they need to chase these goals. Because, if you give a child, the opportunity, or if you give them the chance to, do something they want to do, if they have the right amount of passion, anything is possible. So I definitely want to be, someone that creates that next spark or helps the next generation of people to do something. So that's definitely, a passion of mine. And then I'd say, of course, outside of mentoring, with filmmaking, when you create these films, you want people to enjoy them. And when people enjoy these films, you are able to get to the status of like the Oscars and the Golden Globes and things like that. So that's definitely a goal that I have, creating films to a high enough stature that I can win an Oscar or I can win a Golden Globe, and to be able to get on that stage and tell, a speech of, man, I remember when I was in a True Star interview and now look at me. So it's definitely something I hope to do.
Yes, you're going to get there, and True Star, we are going to be sitting there rooting you on.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you.
Okay. So what are 3 pieces of advice you would like to give to somebody that might want to get into the filmmaking industry?
3 pieces of advice I would give someone is to definitely practice your craft early on, to try to, practice screenwriting on the side, watch these movies and try to dissect them and see, what really goes into making a film. Because once you understand, the process behind filmmaking, that'll really tell you if you believe you want to be a filmmaker or not, and really, give you the tools and kind of the blueprint pretty much of what you should be doing in creating your own films. That's another piece of advice. Film everything, write everything. You want to get as much experience and exposure and things like that as possible in filming. You don't need to have like a Sony or a fancy Canon camera to do that. We have our own phones, and these mini cameras can, shoot as good as any other camera. So film everything, write everything, and kind of just really get that experience. So when you get the chance to do something on a big set or get, that big break or that big opportunity to finally get out there and to show your skills, you have the necessary experience to do so.
Absolutely. So, what can you tell us about any future projects that you might be working on right now?
Well, something I mentioned earlier, and something that's super excited, and very recent actually. I did just get accepted into the amazing Black Girls Film Camp. It's a film camp focused on helping young Black girls write, direct, and premiere their own films, and kind of giving them the access to do this type of thing. So it's a 12-week process where I'll get the chance, do different fireside chat with amazing women within the industry, and kind of bond with 9 other girls, so which would be 10, including myself, kind of bond with them and to connect on the filmmaking tip. And we've been gifted with like a team that will help us write our own scripts and ideas that we have. And we get to go to LA and kind of just like do all these amazing things and get access to what inside the film industry really looks like. And so after this 12-week process, once I've written my script and have to film it, cast, all that type stuff, we then get the opportunity to premiere it in Charlotte at a film premiere we'll be having, and then hopefully put it into different film festivals and things like that. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. So stay tuned. My film will be out in June.
We will. That is so cool.
Okay. Thank you.
So what advice would you give to any teens that might feel stuck or unmotivated when it comes to setting their goals?
I definitely say, you're not alone. Feeling unmotivated or feeling like, I feel like I'm behind, or I see all these other people doing something. That's something I've experienced too. I feel like something I do is compare myself to a lot of people, but you can't let that, bother you. You have to kind of be like, okay, it's normal to do this, but let me try to push myself to get past this point, and let me actually, set this goal. Let me, set aside, maybe get a notebook, jot down some things that you're interested in. It could be, a hobby or something you just do on the side that you wouldn't think could become a career. But, let's say you're into art, or let's say you're into, building things. You never know. You could become, an artist. You could become, an engineer. It's always the things that you don't think can become a job will be, your greatest career path ever. A quote that, I think about a lot, or something that someone told me, was that, once you're doing something that doesn't feel like a job, then that's when you enjoy it the most. So with filmmaking, at first it was just a hobby. But once I set the goal to be like, okay, maybe I should actually, try this as a career, or try, to create a business from it, that's where, the real success came from. So really just hone in on your hobbies, hone in on your interests, and just know that, feeling unmotivated and not knowing what you want to do currently isn't, abnormal. It's something that everyone goes through, and it's something that I've gone through myself, and you just have to push yourself to get past that point.
Okay, that was amazing. Addison, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you today, and I'm sure our listeners want to follow up with you in the future. So before we go, how can people follow you?
Yes, so I have my Instagram page. You can find me at directorseye_08 on IG. And then I have my Facebook page, which is under my name, Addison Belhomme. And yeah, you can email me at directorseye@gmail.com. And I'm looking forward to, hearing from everyone and being able to share my passion with the world.
Okay. Thank you so much, Addison, for taking the time to talk to TrueStar. This is Lauryn, and I'm out.